Welcome to video 2 in this COVID-19 series. This afternoon, I want to share with all of us, parents, educators, and students, families, that we are still in a very tumultuous, tenuous time, and there's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of unpredictability still, and patience with one another can grow thin, and all is okay. Meaning every emotion that you are experiencing and feeling, if there are 100 a day, are completely normal. Our brain states change on a quote normal day several times. And in this type of experience, where there is so much fear associated to that feeling of being isolated and things that are unpredictable, it's so normal to be fluctuating and moving all over the place. We talked about how contagious emotions are, and so unintentionally we have the ability to calm the people that we are sitting beside in our homes and in our spaces, and we can unintentionally escalate. But one of the things that I want to share with you in the second video is the power of nonverbal communication and knowing how significant our facial expressions are, especially from the eyes up, how powerful our gestures can feel as far as calming, regulating, or escalating, the way our posture looks to another person, our tone of voice really shares how our body is feeling. So just being aware of our nonverbal communication is really, really helpful when we ourselves are feeling pretty rough, pretty anxious, and we are needing some time, to do what we enjoy that calms us. Maybe it's taking a walk, maybe it's wrapping up in a blanket and reading a book. Those are great ways to model some of the coping strategies that you want to see from children in this time. The weather's getting warmer, the sun is shining today, and being outside is one of the healthiest things that we can do to regulate our brain states. I want to share an activity today that we are going to be implementing with children and actually with young adults this week, and it's called a scavenger hunt for the brain. And so this would be really fun as a family or online with your students. And so we have a list of 5 items that have to do with the brain that the students can begin to look for in their homes or in their spaces where they are right now to share through virtual learning, or to share maybe at a family dinner, or to have kind of a routine before we go to bed at night. And this could last all week long, or it could just be a day. But the 5 items that we're going to talk about today really affect all of us moment by moment. And the very first item on the scavenger hunt is neuroplasticity. So I want you to ask everybody in your space to go find an object or something to even take a picture of that represents something about how our brain changes continuously through experiences. So is there an object that you can show, maybe a piece of clay or Play-Doh, how it changes when we squeeze it, when we stretch it, when we flatten it? That would be one thing. One of those exercise bands is a great way to show neuroplasticity, because our brains change with every experience that we have, every moment of the day. The second item on the list is finding something in our space that stresses us, that elevates our stress response systems. For me right now, it is our television. I have to keep away from it much more than I have been. I am really monitoring to get the news in small chunks. And for me, that is very stressful right now. So I would take a picture of that and share that in my scavenger hunt. The third item is a regulation tool in your home. So what would feel calming to you? Kind of walk around your house. Maybe there's a blanket, maybe there's a pet, maybe there's an image, a picture, a piece of art, maybe there's a type of food, maybe it's the picture of a favorite spot outside. But what would be an object that feels calming and regulating to you on your scavenger hunt? The fourth item is finding something that connects you to a memory. And memories happen all over the brain. We know very little about memory, but we know that memory happens in short term, it happens long term, but objects and smells and tastes and sometimes music that we hear can evoke a memory. So we would like that to be the fourth item on the scavenger hunt. And the fifth item on the scavenger hunt is looking for an object or a space or an experience in your space or home that really turns on your prefrontal cortex, meaning it helps you to focus, it helps you to pay attention, helps you to think clearly. When you're doing this activity or you have this object, you're in the flow. So have fun with this. Share this. You could pick one object a day this week and maybe learn a little bit about each area of the brain as you talk about your scavenger hunt. And if there is a classroom doing this or if there's a family that's doing this, it's really fun to, add and kind of Google information about our prefrontal cortex or about the amygdala, which activates our stress response systems. Or kind of thinking about the hippocampus, which is that little seahorse structure in the temporal lobe that is kind of the seat of short-term memory, visual spatial memory, and then, thinking about how those parts of the brain work together. So don't forget, we have a toolkit, the 100-Day of Educational Neuroscience Toolkit that I will add to this link. And it's a great way to learn a little bit every day about the brain and gives us a sense of relief and a sense of empowerment when we understand what's happening beneath our feelings. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.